All right, welcome to the Deep End. It's another new series. I'm Deep. We've got T-Substitute. Wait, you spelt it wrong. You spelt it
Oh,
substitute.
substitute.
Oh, that is right. No, it's a T instead of a D. Anyway.
Then it's fine.
All right, so T-Dubs and I have been best friends since what, 95?
Yeah, pretty much.
So we both went to college together, George Mason, and it was pretty fun because of T-Dubs. And I didn't buckle down, and I wasn't serious until T-Dubs was like, all right, man, I got to get a degree now, so I'm going to go to UVA.
Yeah,
And
pretty
then I
much.
was like, no. So it took, about 8 years later, then I got a degree. But everyone's like, oh, so what did you're a PhD?
Like
Yeah,
just regular sociology
just
degree.
just two steps lower.
Uh, no, that was amazing though. I mean, we had so much fun every day. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I still
it
think about it all the time.
yeah, man. And now with a kid in college, which we'll talk about later, but like when I'm trying to give her advice, I keep thinking about all the crazy things we
You're
did.
like, wait a minute, don't do anything I did,
I'm
basically.
going to tell you the opposite of what to do, and then you figure it out.
Yeah, that's the only way. There's no way they. I somehow managed to do decent. I don't know grade wise at George Mason to get into UVA. So
I think you did. Yeah, you did great.
it ruined everybody else's though. Like between you, Kev, everybody else was like, "All right, I'm on academic probation." I'm like, well, I'm going to UVA. So
Yeah, I think it was the semester that I left to pursue a part-time career in banking as a teller.
yeah,
So
Kev
yeah,
was
and
like,
then after
my,
we
my dad.
graduated, huh?
Our other friend was my actual roommate. Was like, yeah, my dad has to come talk to the dean to see if I can come back next semester. I'm like, what? What
Yeah,
happened?
and that conversation. Well, actually, his dad had come up a couple of times. Once was an incident related to setting firecrackers off in a Domino's pizza, and we didn't realize the police were actually right there, and they thought it was gunfire, so they came up to the dorm, and then Kevin and I shouldn't name him, but he and I were sitting, and we were like, and they were like, "Who did that?" And we just pointed to his passed out roommate.
Oh my god.
Yeah, forget what his name was, but anyways,
No, that's
then you went off to California,
been in California since college. Yeah,
and
and
I
then now
came to
you're
visit.
somehow in Texas.
Yeah, man, Texas is great.
Why Texas?
So
Well, do I want to get into that? Like, why Texas?
yeah, I think so. Why Texas? Because a lot of people ask that. Why Texas from moving from the East Coast? I think it had a lot to do with we got tired of the East Coast. We wanted nice weather. We wanted, and everyone was like, the stereotypical what you think of Texas is true in certain parts of Texas. We just ended up picking north of Dallas, so we're like a half hour south of Dallas. I'm sorry, north of Dallas, and it's like the multicultural, bougie part of Texas. So you'll still see cowboys, but they drive, like Benzes and
Tesla.
Porsches and Teslas. Yeah, and it's a nice place. Nobody locks their doors. Kids' schools are nice and safe, and so all the madness you hear about in Texas is kind of on the outskirts of where we live. And then the weather
Where?
too,
Where?
right?
What's the outskirts of where you live? Like
So
old country
that
friend.
would be it'd be like Waco, if you've heard of Waco.
Of
Um,
course, that's where the cult
yeah,
David Koresh and his cult burned down.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he started like a whole fashion trend, right? The monocolored, like wearing mono trench coats and stuff, even if it's not raining. Like he started that trend,
it's
and
terrifying.
it
So
is.
he was a cowboy too, or no? I don't
I
think so.
don't think he was a cowboy. Like I'm not. I try to find like what are the rules of becoming a cowboy. And you and I had talked like we got to get a cowboy on this call because
Yeah.
it's the duel, and I haven't stopped being able to think about like what constitutes a duel.
Do they
And
still
it
challenge each other to duels, you think?
yeah, I think so. I think to this date,
Still
duels still
dueling.
happen, but I think like you and I were saying, it's evolved, right? Like you gotta. I'm sure there's push notifications involved in setting it up, right? Like a
Siri is definitely kid doing the counting.
100%. Like I don't think you walk into a bar anymore and just like challenge somebody to a duel. I think you have to set that up. You got to know who's available
Yeah.
for a duel, who's duel ready,
I mean,
and
during
then
COVID, it was probably over Zoom, I imagine.
yeah, that's a good point.
Had to
Like
be.
Zoom duels. Like you would turn around, right? And then you would count to 10.
Whoever turns around first.
But
Whoever
if your
turns off
camera's
their
lagging,
Zoom
you're
first.
like, I'm on a slower bandwidth. Yeah,
No.
but we'll find out. We'll get a cowboy on the call.
So, do you have a cowboy hat and boots or no?
No, not yet. My daughter is going to be the first one to buy them. You actually go to like legit stores, and it's like the Foot Locker for cowboy boots.
It's like
So
Nike, the new Nike Air Max boot.
yeah, there's like certain brands that you're supposed to wear. So we're gonna do that. I
You
don't know
got
how
to
I'm gonna
do it.
look. I'm kind of top heavy.
What about what about the turban and cowboy boots? Have you seen that look?
I actually have. There's one
That's
person
kind
I
of
saw when I
strange.
worked at Ben's. He had a turban, and then when he got out of his car, he had cowboy boots, and I was just like, "What is this?"
Did everyone just point to you when he got out of the car, like go see?
Yeah, everyone was like, "Whose advisor is he?" And everyone was like, "That guy."
For sure, has to be.
Yeah, it was. He had like a nice S class and everything. And I was like, "What do you do? Like, what's your what do you do for a living?" And he was like, "I'm in tech within the oil industry."
Wow.
And dude, at that point, like he could have said, "I am the Turbinator," and I would have been like, "Cool." Like I'm down.
In
Like
tech,
that was such a good look.
he's probably just fixing Wi-Fi at the oil rigs.
That's all. That's all he does.
He's like, printer, got it. The jam printer, he's on it. 700,000 a year. He's like,
So, yeah. So yep. So that's Texas. The only thing I would say that really Texas for us has been just kind of odd is the number of Amber Alerts that we get down here. Like, I don't know if this is a thing. I don't remember it being a thing when we lived on the East Coast. Like, you'd get one maybe every couple of months, right? 2, 3 months. What do you get in Cali? Like,
almost never.
right. Okay, so you don't really get them. Let me show you this.
That's
This
probably because you
is,
don't lock your doors.
yeah, actually, you know what? That's probably, you're probably 100% right. I guarantee you that is probably the number one reason
People don't
why
lock their
this is
doors.
happening.
They just let everyone run around like it's the 80s.
Is that what happened in the 80s? I
Yeah.
thought that was more like a 70s thing. I don't know. I
70s
can't
and
even
80s,
share my screen.
70s and 80s, people did not do car seats and like it would just come home when it's dark or at all if you feel like it. Like there was no helicopter parenting.
Yes, I mean, like, look at this. This is the Texas Department of Public Safety, right? And if you go through the list, you can see the month,
This is just public
and
info.
this is just Amber Alerts too.
Holy cow!
So this is all like 2023, right? That's a lot of alerts, man.
That's just in your neighborhood.
And yeah,
You definitely should lock your doors.
I'm thinking we should. I mean, like Dallas, there's a couple, but these cities, these are like when I was talking about the outskirts. These are all the cities. Corpus Christi is kind of like a beach town.
So wait, you get all of these?
Yeah, typically we'll get everything. Like they just fire it off to everybody in hopes that somebody goes, "Yeah, there it is. There she is."
Like 2:30 a.m., 4 hours away. Just hit them up. We don't know.
So there's blue alerts, which I don't know what blue alert is.
There's
There's
blue alert.
silver.
Let's see.
Isn't silver for
Silver's for elderly.
so look at the time. Look at this. This is interesting. The time the elderlies are getting jacked, they're getting like it's not that late, right? 2 p.m. They probably just had dinner.
I don't think they're getting jacked. They're usually just getting lost, like because they have like memory issues.
Oh, true. Okay.
You
But
know,
it's like reasonable times. If you
yeah.
go to the Amber Alert, look at this: 12:42 a.m., 7:15, 5 a.m., 12:51 a.m., 3:30 a.m., and you get an alert and you're sleeping, and it's like, what do you do? So you're a parent. I'm a parent. What do you do? Like, if I get an Amber Alert at 3 o'clock in the morning, first of all, it sets off all our devices, and we have over 3,200. I counted them yesterday. We have over 3,200. Like everything goes off all at once, and then it sets off our dog. So everything's going berserko.
You just
And
run
I
in the
look at
car and go look for them.
no, like I look at the phone, and I'm like, Erica Anderson just got taken from Brookstone. I don't even know where Brookstone is. And at 3:30 in the morning, the best I can do is just say, "My kids are here."
Why not run in your car and go look for them? Is
So
that what they
the other,
expect you to do? It's one of those. You should do a video of like what the police expect you to do when you get an Amber Alert and
well,
you
that's
like
what I'm saying. What are the expectations?
you run out with your phone
Like,
and you just start looking
like
at
in every scenario, every role, you understand what the expectation is, and then what you're personally expected to do. So, the person who set that alarm off did his or her job, right? But me on the receiving end, what is my expectation? Like, what's my role in this?
look out the
Because
window
right
at
now I'm
least.
taking
Look
my
out the
Apple
window
Watch.
for sure.
I'm taking my Apple Watch and whipping it at the wall. Like that's what I'm doing.
No, you should at least look out the window and be like, "Is she out there?" Nope. If
It's
everyone does that, you're bound to see her. She's got to
well,
be within an eye shot of everyone, somebody at 3:30.
so look at okay. So I can do. So I'll talk to my family about that. So we get an Amber Alert. We look at the window.
Make sure
If we
she's not
don't see
there.
somebody
Something.
or
They usually they
something,
give you a license plate in a car description, right?
dude, I can't. I don't even know like the plates on my own car. I can't be looking at that. Yeah, like 3:30 in the morning. You've got about 16 seconds of my attention before I'm going back to
Do you
bed.
reply to the Amber Alert with what your update?
I last time I got one, I'm not gonna lie to you. I looked for an unsubscribe button.
You
We
should
didn't have.
reply. If you can reply, be like all clear in wherever city you're in, whatever neighbor your address, be like all clear.
So now I've become
28
part of
Main
the.
Street, all clear.
I've become. I've become. I just give them my personal address and just say master bedroom, bathroom, and now that you woke me up, kitchen,
under
all clear.
under the bed, all clear. I'm going back to bed. I've done my part.
Roger that. 10-4. All right. I mean, I could do that. The other thing is, I think I go to bed too early.
Let's look at these. Wait, let's look at these names really quick. Go up.
Oh
It's a
gosh!
lot of
Don't start trying to connect dots. I don't like it when you start going down this road.
this.
It requires a lot of editing.
No. All right. Well, there's one agent Lee. Well, Lee could be anything. I'm like, are there a large number of Indian and Asian people being Amber
There's
Alerted?
not. That's the thing because,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
and I'm not being like, stereotypical or anything. Indian, like I know from my family, my personal growing up, like in a scenario where like somebody, like a grandmother or uncle said, "Hey, come with me," then my parents would be like, "Take all your things too." Like, you know what I mean?
There's no
Like,
Amber Alert.
good luck. He's heavy on the snacks.
I mean, that's
Like
why. I mean, they actually named it after you. No, I'm kidding.
what?
Amber
So,
Alert.
yeah. I mean, then you get into like some confusing things where there's like there's a mixture of last names. So was that kind of like a grab all scenario where it's like just anyone and everyone? Hey, come here, everybody.
Royal
Yeah,
and
huh?
Kennedy.
Yeah.
Royal and Kennedy.
And then, without going into too many details, this is concerning.
Zaya and Camille.
No, the discontinued. So, like, there's only two
Not
options provided: found, but
or
they don't say not found. They just say discontinued. So it's like, I think in that case, it must have been like a shift change.
yeah, your discontinued leads me to think
Yeah,
it's
it's kind of concerning.
it's lights
But,
up for them.
you know, I mean, I don't know how much of this is the parents' fault or guardian, but I mean, you got kids. Do they? When was the last time that your kid was not in school, or you weren't outside of the house at like work or an event, and they were out of your sight for longer than like 14 minutes?
Well, I don't think ever.
Right? I mean, you can't get rid of your kids. Like, we've got three girls,
I try,
and
but yeah, I
yeah,
try.
that's
Mark, they always fall. They always come running back.
that's what I'm saying. Like, you take them outside and you're like, "Go look in that bush. I think I saw a bunny rabbit." And then you run back to your house. Guarantee you within 3 minutes they're back there and you're like, "Dope."
No, the other day we were ordering food from two different restaurants, and we ordered one. I was like, all right, you wait here. I'll go to the other restaurant and order. So I don't have to wait twice.
Yeah.
Didn't work. I went to the other store. She followed me, and she's like, I'm not waiting by myself. I'm like, fine.
Yeah, she's right there, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing with parenting, right? Like it used to be when I was growing up and your mom would make or dad would make dinner and it was like that was it. You're eating whatever. My kids are like ordering from multiple places on Uber Eats
It's
to
crazy.
the point where the driver that consistently comes to our house, uh, who actually I think is named Lee, will pick up orders when he sees our name because he knows our house and everything.
It's just easier.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
like we can
he's just now
communicate to him.
he's eating with y'all now.
That's the evolution, right? That's what I was going to get at. Like, it's only a matter of time before I'm like, Lee, just pick up something for yourself and we're going to watch
Why
like the
not? Why not
Cowboys
just
game.
text or get Lee's actual info and skip out on Uber Eats and just be like, hey, just get us the usual, and we'll pay you, and you keep the difference.
This is this is what I'm thinking. I've done it with Uber. Like I got picked up and it was a not that it matters. It was an Indian guy in a very nice SUV. And I was like, look, like every time we travel, can I just call you directly?
And what do you
And
say?
very, very good. And now we use him all the time. And now my
Really?
parents use him
Oh,
100%.
that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's like we, uh, we just call him directly. We text him directly and he's like, and then he has a network of people that, so if we're traveling with a lot of luggage, he'll send somebody that has like the new extended Suburban and stuff. And they're like all Indian guys, but not that it matters. But I'm going to start doing that with Uber Eats. Just be like, Lee, just, you know, go. And then because it makes it fun, it could be like, Lee, every third Friday of the month, you choose what we're going to eat for dinner.
Yes, yeah.
Round
Roulette,
robin.
restaurant
Yeah,
roulette. It's
dinner
like you
roulette.
get yourself something. Come on in, and let's eat.
I think that's where it's going to end
what are
up.
you eating? Let's go food down the food route. What is good in Texas? Is it Tex-Mex? Is that the thing?
So yeah, so oddly enough, like Tex-Mex, it's not like as I don't think it's as prevalent as like other places in the U.S. because the authentic Mexican food down here is more like it's more common because our proximity to Mexico. So you get like really good Mexican food. You can get good Tex-Mex,
What's
and then
good?
they
Like
offer.
burritos and
Well, like we just had this. My wife just found this place called Torchy's Tacos, and
hard
they're
shell
pretty
tacos.
sick. No, Torchy's.
No. I mean, were they hard shelled tacos?
Oh, no, you can get like flour or corn.
Okay.
I don't know if they offer hard shell, but you can get like flour or corn. So corn would typically be like what you would say is authentic, right? Flour is kind of like Tex-Mex, but it's really good food. And barbecue, of course, there's a couple places that are like rivals. One's like Rudy's, and the place we get our barbecue from, um, damn, I don't even remember the name, but it's good. I mean, it's so good that every time you pass on the highway, there's always smoke coming out of the building. And like 3 months ago, like people were just passing on the highway and it was smoking like crazy, and everyone's like, they're like going crazy. And meanwhile, the building was on fire and burned. burnt, it burned down.
It burned down.
Yeah,
And it was back open.
huh?
They just continued cooking while it was burning down.
Yeah, they just sent out like tweets just saying our ribs are going to be extra smoked today.
They're like, don't waste this fire. Just
No,
keep going.
throw a brisket on it. No, but they rebuilt, and their food's really good. So, and then that steaks, that place that I recommended for you was Saltgrass.
That place is good.
Yeah, so that's a pretty well known steak place. But you know what the thing is around Texas is people, like any sort of event that's coming up, like it doesn't matter what the event is. If it's like, the Rangers are in the World Series, or the Cowboys are playing this weekend, or somebody in the neighborhood got abducted, the whole neighborhood will smell like meat on like Saturday morning. Like no joke, because everyone's smoking like briskets and ribs. So you go out and all you smell is like meat.
Is everyone what is the health conditions like out there? A lot of people
I
with
wouldn't
heart
say
conditions and overweight.
no. Like I don't. The funny thing is, like living on the East Coast, I felt like the number of people that were like unhealthy you'd see more often than down here. But down here, like allergies are really bad. Allergies just are horrible. But health wise, I think you're okay just because there's like a major hospital on every street corner
You just get a triple bypass
in the burbs.
go right back in there.
Yeah, so like by the time your heart's like starting to palpitate, you can be at the hospital within like 3 minutes. So you don't even have a chance to really get bad.
So what is the thing that brought you to Texas originally? Is it a job? I don't even know. I've known you all this.
I think it was just yeah. I mean, it was a job. Number one, the job actually did literally move us down. I wanted to work at a dealership that I had heard even on the East Coast. It's called Park Place, and they're set up like the Google of the auto industry. So like typical dealers, and you and I have both worked in stores, right? And it's not like that at all at Park Place. It's like working at a high quality hotel where everything's run really smoothly and everyone's super nice, and they feed you with like positivity and stuff like that. And I had an opportunity to work for Benz down here, and they actually paid them. Yeah, and it well on the service side, and they helped move us down and everything. So it was that, and plus we just needed a change. We wanted to change. We wanted to live in a better environment, and then cost of living down here is much less than northern DC area. So
Have your parents come to visit or no?
they moved down too. So they live they live like 3 miles from us.
So did you rent out your place in Virginia or you sold it
No, we sold it. We sold it at like the best part of the market,
during COVID?
which means we were buying at the worst part of the market down in Texas.
It all works out.
But relatively speaking, right, like we made good money on that house and then bought reasonably down here for what we were looking for. So
So
It's nice. Like,
long term, you're gonna stay there, or you gonna move again?
yeah, yeah. Well, this is home now. We'll be here. Like, my wife and I were talking. We were like, as the kids leave and everything, then I want to get like an RV and just travel and drive around and just like wherever you go, like instead of staying in hotels and stuff. But then part of us is like, yeah, but maybe we'll just get like a nice like house somewhere else.
Then
Didn't have to be
then you can
big.
finally use that license plate cover I got you.
Indians on the run.
Yeah,
I don't know why I got that.
Indians on the run. I don't know. I have no
This
idea where
guy,
it came from.
this guy just keeps staring me down.
The doggo.
Bentley. Um, yeah,
So the dog you got in Texas, or you brought from Virginia?
he was made in San Diego, and then I FedExed him to Virginia, and then
Broke
we
down.
ground shipped him via our car to Texas because, well, number one, he's too big to fly with, and I don't even know how you fly with a dog this big, but he
You have to buy him a ticket, right?
well, he's outlawed on every airline. So the airline that he flew from San Diego to Virginia was United, and since then United's banned the breed now.
What breed is it?
Dogo Argentino.
Too aggressive, or
They're known as one of the most vicious breeds. Like it's he could put like a pit bull down in a second. Not him. He sees his own shadow and he has to go hide. So he was on sale or something. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's good. Like he's perfect for a family.
he scares strangers and takes care of you guys. That's great.
Yeah, anyone comes to the door, he goes berserko. But but with us, he's pretty good. So he's chill.
So
You don't have a dog, right?
No, I lost my dog. 6 years ago now?
COVID. Oh, 6 years. Okay.
Right before. Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, she was 16, so
That's pretty good, dude. 16.
yeah, that's a long time.
You gonna
much
get
as
another
my
one,
adult
or?
life. No, I'm done. The ending was too hard. I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, it's tough. I've been through it like a few times now, so it's kind of I know what's gonna happen. But
It's just the countdown to crying.
yeah, I think we're gonna get a miniature poodle now, probably next year.
They're super smart, right?
They are, yeah, and it'll be good to have like the world's biggest dog and then the world's smallest dog.
See what
Somehow I think that's gonna work out well.
No, that'd be great. So wait,
Is
what's
that
the
a
what's the
glove?
plan?
No, that's Teddy. Huh?
What's the plan for the rest of the podcast schedule here? We're gonna do this once a week.
Got to, man.
All right, I like
We
it.
got to go deep end every week
Every week, new subject.
with the new
thing.
and the greatest topics.
What got you into podcasting?
So for me, it was like I like to laugh, and we're always like telling jokes. We're always making people laugh, and I'm not saying like I'm a comedian, but I like to laugh, and I like to be like immature and funny. And then on the same hand, we've had some like really good and interesting experiences, and I watch a lot of YouTube. That's where I spend most of my time
Yeah, same.
watching media. Other than that, I'm watching like Seinfeld, King of Queens, and like on repeat, and sports. And so I thought if we could just talk to people, it would be something interesting to do. I think the combination of you and I is even better just because we spent like a good chunk of time together in years, but in time and hours, it was like 4 times the actual amount of time we spent. You know what I'm saying? Like normal people in a day, if they're going to hang out with a friend, they may hang out. Yeah. And if you're at school in college, you're what, 6 hours. when you start hitting like 18 hours a day, it's like, like what it was like pure comedy.
And,
And
we weren't exactly sleepers. We were up all night, got up early, did our thing. It was kind of, yeah. I still do that
it,
today. I fight it, but I try not to.
it, I mean, I gave up. That's why I go to bed at like 4 p.m. because it's like I was up too late at college. I'm still making up for that. But like with my daughter going to school, and then you, as a parent, you're like, you got to give some advice, right? And I'm like, yeah, I remember like walking to class with T-Dubs one day. We're walking down the main walkway to what was like the Johnson Center, I guess, the new building they had built. And we're just walking. We're actually going to be on time. We're not in the same class, but we're actually going to be, it's like a Thursday. And we're actually going to be on time to class. I remember us being proud of each other. Like, dude, yeah. Afterwards, we'll link up and then we'll go like to the mall or go eat or something. And you look at me, you're like, you want to go to A City, Atlantic City? And I was like, yeah, when? You're like, let's just go now. The weather's nice.
It's easier
All
to
right. We just went straight to our cars. I went to Atlantic City. And this is before there was really like cell phones, right? So we had to run back to the dorm and we're like asking people, you want to go to A City? We got like 3, 4 people together and we're off. And it was not like, there was never once in my head where I was like, well, there was like 3 years later when it was taking me forever to graduate. But at that point, never once in my head was like, oh man, how am I going to make that class up? So I'm like, I'm talking to my daughter and I'm like, how do I put this together in words that can give her some advice? So I'm like, hey, if you're ever walking to class and you think like I should go gambling now, don't do it. Or if you're going to do it, know how to make up the class. And she's like looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, why did that happen?
No, we did. That was amazing, though. I mean, I look back on it as the best time ever because we were just doing whatever we wanted all the time. So it was
Yeah. And the funny thing is we never did anything like
no,
wrong. We
yeah.
weren't.
I mean, we didn't even really drink. I don't remember drinking like all that often or doing. We didn't do any drugs.
No.
I mean, we were definitely acting stupid, but it was just
And not eating healthy, but other
normal.
than that,
It was relatively normal, mundane stuff, but it was just because we were all together and goofing off that it was so fun. Like,
none of it made sense. Like the going to a Rough Riders concert, buying like a 4XL shirt because that's all they had left, and then going, oh man, I've got an exam in the morning, and you calculating how fast you're going to have to drive to
yeah,
get me home so I can make it to my exam.
no, that was amazing. I mean,
I
those
remember,
are the experiences that I think that make college worth it, right? The friendships and the experiences outside of that, like the school stuff, you forget.
yeah, 100%. Like,
So what do you tell?
my
What do you tell
degree.
your dog? You say don't go, but when you think about when you look back on your college, that's the stuff we love and remember. So you can't tell
Well,
your kid don't do the stuff that's like the best part of college.
yeah, so the advice really has now evolved to, look, I know you're going to do things, and you're going to think that we may not approve of it. If it puts your life in harm, or it puts your body in harm, or puts anybody else in harm, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. But I was like, look, I don't want you to ever feel like you can't tell us what you're doing in case we need to get you out of a situation,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then the second thing is be smart. Like, put your education first because you're actually going to a good school and you're actually doing a program that won't be outdated by the time you graduate. Like, I did marketing, and when I graduated, they released the iPhone, and like it was basically George Mason calling me himself, going, "Forget it, ignore what you just did. Like, can we have that piece of paper back?" They're like, "We're gonna send you the degree technology, like on email." I'm like, "What's email?"
Pretty much.
So yeah, we just tell her like, like be smart about what you're doing and make good decisions, and she has. She's like so far so good. So
Yeah, I like it. I mean, honestly, like the other day, I'll tell you a story. I was driving to see my parents, and I'm actually gonna start some content around it. But like, we were driving my kid, my son who's 6, we drive by a cemetery, and he's like, "Dad, one day you're gonna be in there, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? And he's like, no, one day you're going to be in there. Right? I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's going to be a while. Don't worry about that. He's like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do when you're gone? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, who's going to tell me story? How am I going to remember you like this? And then I was like, what are you talking about? Don't worry about that. Like,
Yeah.
everything's fine. Don't worry. I mean, we are going to see my parents, and he gets like their old and stuff. And he was like, it'd be cool if you could tell your stories on video. So when you're gone, I can go back and watch them.
There you go, man.
And I was like, I can do that for you. So I'm gonna like this will help, right? Like it'd be
Yeah.
cool. It'd be cool one day if they can go back and watch videos and be like, oh, that's what my dad was like when he was younger, and these are the stories. Because like they don't really listen to them now, and they're not gonna remember them. So I was like, all right.
Exactly.
So every once in a while, I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna make some videos and do some stuff for my kids.
I like it, dude. I think that's such a good idea. I mean, that I remember my grandfather recorded some stuff of him telling stories that he would tell every time everyone got together,
But you
and
missed
that's
those.
the stuff you watch.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
that's good. I mean, like that's exactly what he's talking about, right? Like he probably doesn't listen to him now, but he
He
knows one
loves
day
them.
he's
He
gonna want
always
to.
laughs, but he's young, so it's easy. But he was like, "Oh, what? Who's gonna tell us those stories? Who's gonna make
This is
us laugh?
good.
Who's gonna?" He's a, and so the fact that he put that together at that age, I was like, "Yo, I'm impressed." And
I'm excited because that's another subscriber.
for sure, too.
But
It's gonna be 20 years
that's good.
from now.
Maybe the next segment we can do the cars we've owned.
Cars. Oh my god. Yeah, I just bought a new car, so I'm back in the car world.
Yeah, your car is probably the sickest car I've seen in a while.
I mean, it's intense though. Like car. When me and you get into something, we really get into that thing. Like
Yeah, it's
there's no like loose. I mean, there's no like, oh, just casually, I'm gonna get into a hobby. Like, no, we go all the way in. Like,
yeah. No, but yeah. It's never been like I'm just gonna get the car and get it detailed.
yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
I'm gonna get the car, put air suspension, tint, and then import the carbon fiber from Switzerland, and
for sure, we always go way too
for some
far.
reason, and then I'm gonna send the car to Germany just so it can see what life is like back home. Yeah,
It's like some people get a couple packs of baseball cards and they're happy. Me, I have a 7 foot Michael Jordan card behind me. It's just, that's how I roll.
is that real?
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean,
So good. Yep. I think that's important. We'll do like a parenting corner. You had that idea. I think it's good. I
yeah,
like it.
I think it's good. You see how they can go back. Worst case, our kids will be the only ones that watch this, but they'll really enjoy it.
Yeah. No,
They'll
I
see
think
it correctly.
other people can relate. I mean, we can give advice. We may not be the 100% best parents in the world, but who is, right? As long as your kids make it and they're polite and they're good kids, then
You
when they're
win.
doing the best they can, you're doing fine.
No, it's hard. It's hard. I always think like parenting is like this is so confusing for me because I'm like my parents really didn't do anything when I think about it. Like they were tough on me young, but like
Yeah.
they didn't really like take me to practice and push me to do like they didn't do any of that stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't want to say it turned out fine, but for the most part, I hear of kids who had like helicopter parenting, and I'm like, the difference between me and them is pretty minimal. I don't know how much use it is to go crazy and like, you know what I mean? Like what
Yeah.
is the use of all that parenting? What happens? Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of like innate versus nurture.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. You can definitely overparent your kids just for the sake of parenting. Or it's like what I've seen. So my youngest goes to soccer, right? She plays soccer. She goes to soccer. She plays soccer, and she said last season, I want to quit. And I was like, 100%. If you want to quit, you can quit. But why do you want to quit? And she was like, I'm just not good. Like, I don't feel like I'm participating. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it was going down the path of she didn't, I don't think she understood her value to the team. And we talked to her and said, you can't let your team down. You got to hustle. And from that day forward, she's been phenomenal. And she's been playing forward and stuff. That's all it is, as opposed to these parents that are on the sidelines yelling their heads off at their kids on every single play. I told you better than that. You're gonna walk home.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
weird.
dude, like parent your kid, like just give them the principle and let them execute.
Right.
It's not
Easier said than
every
done, though.
100%, but
Easier
I'm
said than.
not 100%. But if you just hammer home, like for us, we're big on politeness and saying thank you, and you know, let them be. And if we're at a restaurant and they don't say thank you,
You beat the living. Oh,
yeah, we DDT them. Like you put them up and then you slam them down like that. They'll learn. When
the-
they wake up, they'll learn.
look, beating your kids is terrible, but it's a proven method that works that my parents utilized. I don't do it, but
I mean, I can't. Like we have girls, so I just kick my own ass.
pretty much. Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I definitely got a fair share of spanking as a kid. That's for sure. Did your
yeah,
dad spank you too? I don't remember.
yeah, man. Like
Your dad was on you. I remember that.
the
But
last, and he's gonna watch this, so he's probably not gonna. We'll call it the last slap. I was in college.
was it when I brought the Honda Accord up to see you?
No, yeah, that cord. I remember that. I love that car. No, it was like when my grades came through and they used to mail them home, and I couldn't drive home fast enough to intercept it.
Right.
And I got home, and I remember my dad was like, I'm gonna leave work early, so I'll meet you at home.
You were like, no, please, God, no.
And I was like, why didn't you just work late? And so then he was there at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't even think he changed out of his suit. He just like slapped me across the face, and I was like, that's gonna leave a mark.
That was the last time.
Yeah, I mean, I think my mom's probably like tried to punch me a couple times after that, but that was it. Um,
What about when you were like 5, 6, 7? What was your upbringing like? Were your parents really strict, or were they like?
yeah, they were strict, but not like, I mean, we weren't like, I wasn't put in like chokeholds or anything, but no, we were strict. Like, we really couldn't go out to play with friends. Um, well, there's two sides of it. When I was in Canada up until the age of 9, I was raised really by my grandmother because all the parents worked, so all the cousins kind of got together at our grandparents' house, and she was really strict. Like she wouldn't let us out of the house. We couldn't go trick or treating.
Why? Because they were scared of where you guys were, or was it just?
No, just it wasn't a thing. It was just like you're not going outside of my view. Like
Yeah.
I'm in charge of you, and I'm returning you to your parents at the end of the night. So I'm gonna make sure that you're still in one piece. So which is good. Like we learned how to play with, build family bonds and stuff. But
What do you
then
think
when
happens today? Like back then, we were this. I was just thinking about this with my brother. Back then, when it was like you stay home and you play, which we weren't allowed out either after dark. 5 o'clock was our curfew usually.
yeah,
Then you just you learn to be very creative with your imagination and play. And what happens today?
exactly.
Imagine if you had a cell phone, like you would not do any of that stuff. You would just be like,
So
I'm
like
watching YouTube.
today,
I'm watching the deep media.
yeah, the deep end, yeah. So like, pe- yeah. So my kids like, they'll actually FaceTime their cousins. They play Roblox. They play like those games, but then they'll do crafts. Like I saw them the other day, like making ornaments and cards
Okay, so
and
they're not on their
bombs
iPad
and
24/7. They're not on their iPad 24/7.
No, I don't. No, not really. I mean, like my youngest, yeah, she'll watch a lot of like YouTube and FaceTime her cousins and stuff, and we try to break that habit. But she's also got a creative side to her where she's spending time like making things and stuff. What about your kids? Do they get like? Do they have their own phones or?
No, my 10-year-old is definitely any chance she'll get, she'll grab the iPad and go to her room and watch it, watch YouTube and God knows what. Like I don't want to know at
Yeah,
this point. Um, but no, that we try to get them to do things. I'm terrible. I'm on my phone all the time for quote, working and doing selling stuff and doing this and that. And I'm trying to do 10 things at once all the time, so I'm not the best. I'm not the best example for them, but they definitely do that. My son's still young. He'll play games every once in a while. He loves playing games, but we make him do like play Uno and do normal kid stuff. But they don't do like what we did back in the day, which is like ride your bike around the neighborhood and just
Nobody does that,
you can't
man.
do that. You can't do that. What we we'd literally ride our bikes to the mall and then to the back
Yeah.
or play basketball and then ride home and like
Well, I think it's a product of society too, right? It's not a safe place anymore, but
you think? I think it's still the same safety. It's just now you know what could happen, so you don't.
that's what it is.
Yeah, it's the knowing.
Now you get an alert on your phone that says 3 miles away somebody did
Right.
something before you didn't,
Yeah,
and it was
or
still happening.
you just assumed
I
it.
will say Texas is more of an environment where the kids can play outside. They play on the street and definitely like have fun. And I see a lot of what we had when we were growing up,
Really?
but
Okay.
I do. I see like a lot, and it was important for my wife and I. Like that is an environment that's perfect. Like a lot of the kids that grew have been born and raised in Texas that live in our neighborhood. They like run over, like little kids without their shoes on, and they're nowhere in sight of their parents. And it is that culture of like this is a safe place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, except that data that we looked at before, it may not be the safest in certain areas of Texas, but that's like any state, right?
No, I mean, I'm
But
saying I don't remember kids getting kidnapped when I was young, but I'm sure it happened. We just didn't hear about it.
yeah, that's like we're saying, right? Now you know about it.
Yeah, now you know immediately at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
You're made
now
aware.
everything is like it's kind of funny how everything works now, but the more information you have makes you sometimes more like it prevents you from doing actually like just normal things.
Yeah. I'm hoping they'll have a little more. I don't know, friends around the neighborhood to play with, but COVID ruined all that. We used to
Yeah,
have them
man.
go to their neighbor's house and play, and then COVID happened and we weren't allowed to do that, and then we really never picked it back up because then it's like 2 years later, and then the kids are all grown and they don't even know each other anymore. So
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah, it's terrible.
Oh,
Being a kid today is hard. Now you
it's
got the
because of
COVID
COVID.
thing, you got all this iPad and so many distractions, and you got it's just tough. Like I don't know if I could how me and you would have been in trouble in
Yeah,
college
man.
with social media. Like imagine what the stuff, all the stuff that we did would be online. It'd be terrible. I mean, we
It'd
would
be
have went viral
horrible.
for sure. For
Oh
sure, we would have went
yeah,
viral.
yeah. We would have been like the Mr. Beast of the
It would
'90s.
have been terrible.
I was thinking about this. Like, it's so true. What was the thing that I was thinking about, and I felt like it was based on our lives in college. I'll have to think about it. It was something that I correlated to that, and I was like, oh my god, that's
How many
exactly what.
hours of prank calls did we do? My God.
Yeah, or the Milan's Pizza. Remember them?
Milan's.
Every time you call it Milan's Pizza, you order food.
We did that. We did the little like call box. We were trapped in the call box.
Yeah, on the outside of our dorm. Hey, you with the brown sweater, let me out of here. And people would actually start looking and stuff. Imagine if we had a camera and we could have
Back
just
then.
filmed all
All the
that.
stupid things we did at Milan's. No, at the mall, Froke's.
Yeah. Ordering the cheeseburgers without cheese on them.
Waiting. God, we went crazy back then with food. The food was just the Milan's
It
pizza
was
was
on
really
there.
good. The stromboli was special.
And I don't feel like any of us ate it with like pleasure. We were all like just sitting on a bed or lying down on the floor
You
and just
fat
eating out of a box, and then you're done and just like looking at each other like I'm stuffed.
No, that was, and we'd go to Denny's at 2 in the morning and Walmart. We'd go to Walmart a lot for some reason because that was all that was open at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, there wasn't a Target back then.
Yeah, there was no Target. We'd go to Walmart. You bought a bird for some reason, and I bought a bird because you bought a bird.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to that bird. I think I took it home and
No,
gave it
you
to my
gave it to
mom.
me at the end of the year. You gave it
Oh,
to me. I took it home, and my parents kept that bird, those two birds, for like, and they must have kept them for almost 10 years.
parakeets, right?
Yeah, the little parakeets.
They had no business being. I didn't even ask my roommate, Kev.
If you could have a bird.
Yeah. Nor did I ask him when I got that guinea pig, but he was only there for like 10 hours, the notorious PIG.
And he left.
Then I went back to PetSmart, and I remember right when they opened, we put him on, Kev and I put him on the conveyor belt at the end, and the cashier was like looking, and we put him on the belt, and she like pressed the button, and he came to her, and she was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "I just bought him like yesterday, and I don't want him. He's like going to the bathroom everywhere, and he stinks." She's like, "Well, you can't return him." And I was like, "Well, then I'm donating him." And we just ran out, and she was like screaming at us because she probably thought it was like a wild animal I found, and this is like, animal control for
No
me.
receipt. You just dropped off the animal.
No receipt. Oh, who keeps a receipt when you buy a guinea pig, right? Like, I don't even remember it coming in a box. I think we wrapped him in a jacket or something. Like, I don't know how I remember paying for him.
Oh my god, I don't remember that. I remember going in to see your roommate being like,
I'm gonna have to edit this. Here it comes.
"No, I
Well,
said, what did I
because
say to him?" I forget. I was like, "I heard
You were like,
about you,"
I've heard.
right?
Yeah.
He was
I've
like,
heard so much about you. What's your name?
he was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "No, I'm just kidding. Well, what was your name again?" He's like, "Oh," he was so disappointed.
He was a super nice guy.
What do you think happened to him? You ever keep in touch?
No, I think he probably made it.
Yeah,
He's probably like a CEO at Texas Instruments.
yeah, probably. He seemed like he had his stuff together.
He really had his stuff together. I mean, he was like, and nothing ever phased him. I remember our other friend, Kev, was walking by our dorm. We were on the first floor, and he threw a rock at the window and shattered the window. And I was at my desk, and my roommate was at his desk, which was right next to the window. And he was like, "Hey, Manny, I think your friend's trying to get your attention." and I looked over, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's glass everywhere." He was like, "Yeah, we can clean it, but I think he's trying to ask you something."
Gosh.
Like, yeah, he's probably trying to ask if you shattered the window.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Good old George Mason.
Good old Jorge Maizon.
All right. We're
All
gonna
right,
wrap it
man.
up. Anything else?
That's it for this one.
All right. Until next time, man.
Deuces. All right, guys. I hope you liked this episode of The Deep End. It's going to be a regular series here on Deeps Media. Definitely hit the like button. Please subscribe for more. And if you liked what you saw, please share. Like I said, we'll have more content and more guest speakers. We'll see you soon.